Alright, so I wanted to do this video about a theory that I have. It's a theory I have about genre labels and how vocals as a musical instrument relates to those labels, and how I feel like vocals as a musical instrument falls on a spectrum, a linear spectrum, which you can say, this type of vocal melody or whatever falls on this end of the spectrum or this end of the spectrum. I feel like there's a type of music where it's either one or the other, and there's songs that use both, but we'll get into that. So, my background first, a lot of you already know this, but I studied music theory, played a couple instruments, recorded a lot of people, some of them singers that had a fan base, and I've also had this software where you can kind of tune a voice, basically, not like auto tune, not pitch correction, but like you make a recording and then it'll tell you what pitch that singer is singing in. So when you pair that with knowledge of how the circle of fifths works and how passing movements or tonal melodies work and all that, you can kind of tell when somebody's going for something and they're definitely in key versus somebody's like expressing a musical melody which is in the same mode, like minor versus major, for example, but they might be in a different key, which is fine. That's very common. But you definitely have genres of music that are one or the other. So basically, yeah, I'm not qualified to be an expert on this or anything, but I have ideas on it because of my experiences and teachings. So I kind of made this chart here. Now you'll see level 5, I would say that's the most tonal, the most musically proper, I guess, is where you would find like Disney music, Adele, Beyonce, opera, definitely. And this is, when I say musically correct, I mean the type of stuff they teach in like music theory classes. And they've got producers involved with it, the type of stuff that like you would see in movies and wins awards and stuff. And I'm not saying it's better or the only right way to do it, but it's music theory people probably can back me up on this. People like Adele and Beyonce and all that, they will be Michael Jackson too. When they're singing a melody, their voice is truly like an instrument. They're hitting notes specifically in that key, and they're not only expressing that melody, but in the right set of notes that are allowed in that mode and that key. Okay, so that's 5, and I'll play you an example of the next level here in a second after I explain what I mean by it. Because this is kind of a gray area. This is something new that I've never heard anybody else describe. This is most music that most people listen to, or mainstream or pop music. This is like you're going for it's vocals that are not rapping or speech. It's definitely singing melodies, and you're really going for a melody here, but you're not really in key. And by that I mean you might be expressing like a parallel melody, but in a different set of notes. You know what I mean? And it's, a lot of people wouldn't pick up on that because why would you? And you're kind of like hearing it like, oh, I know what they were going for. It goes with the flute part. And it's the same intervals maybe between, the first note, which is the root note, and then they go to a minor third after that, or whatever. And like I said, music theory people can back me up on this. This is most music. This is like, I named a few here. It's, Weezer, Modest Mouse, Blink-182, Red Hot Chili Peppers, and then there's a lot of funk that does it. Bootsy Collins, Larry Graham, he does it a lot. I feel like he'll sing his butt off, but he's not in the right key. And maybe this is a bad example, but I'm pretty sure he's like, you can tell what idea he's going for, but he's not in the right key. So let me play you a song called Hair. Hang on. Yeah, he's not dialing back at all, right? So he's really singing his butt off, but what key is he in? I mean, he's a bass player that sings. And for funk, that's totally in context, right? Oh, another good example is Kid Cudi. He does that all the time. So let me play you at a minute into Pursuit of Happiness. So when he says, I'll be fine once again, he's matching the intervals of that synth that's in the background, which you can make in Reason, by the way. It's really easy. He's matching the intervals. So, like, the idea he's going for is, yeah, you're going from a root note to a major third or whatever he's doing there. But I don't think if you had his voice track on a tuner, I don't think it would be in the same key as that synth, right? I'm just being technical here. I don't care, but I think that's a fact. So, 50 Cent does this a lot. The thing I'm trying to explain here is more prominent in like 50 Cent songs where you can tell that dude is not hitting. He's got the same range on every song, but he might be picking a different mode that he's singing in. And you can tell what he was going for, and your ears kind of put it in context, to compensate for it, and you only hear the idea he's going for, and you're not picking out, oh, that's not in the right key. So here's a song called Hold Me Down, which you've probably heard. I promise to keep you close to me. You give me a sense of security. Notice the flute synth in the background. Straight up now, I need you to hold me down. Hold me down. You can't hear it on my phone recording probably, but if you hear that song, listen again. The exact melody and the way he's singing are like matched. He's like, it's the same melody, but in a different key. So, and I'm sure you would agree. Okay, so let's move on to the next level. I feel like level 3, that's a limited idea to the melody. So we're in the middle of the spectrum between like where I'm saying this is, melodic and this is purely a rhythmic contribution. So right here we've got, so the singer is like expressing an idea of pitch, and they're doing it at significant points rhythmically. So it's not just that they're not in key at all. They're not even trying to go for a match of the melody or the intervals, not even the intervals. They've got high, medium, and low. First thing that comes to mind is The Offspring, Pretty Fly for a White Guy. And if you don't remember this song, I'll play it for you. Whatever note he's singing in, which doesn't matter, and I don't even know if he's going for a certain interval. It's more of like a timbre type thing. He's got 3 notes in his whole range, right? And you can't say he's monotone. You hear the 3 notes, it's high, medium, and low. Anyway, so another person that has kind of a melodic throw, I think, is Tech Nine, his earlier stuff, and this is why he's got a different fan base than most rappers, even among his peers from 2000 when Angelic came out. Okay, so this song Einstein off of that album Angelic, I'll play it at 35 seconds. You can hear where he's got kind of high, medium, and low, and he's not just a staccato rhythmic vocalist. Excuse the language. This is, Tech Nine. Okay, I could play that song all day. Some might argue that I don't know what I'm talking about with that example, and maybe I had you at The Offspring and then I lost you at Tech Nine. Feel free to let me know if I'm full of it. Okay, moving on. So then we've got category 2, which is almost no idea of melody, which is most rap. And I'm not going to notice I didn't put rap in category 1, right? And you're probably wondering, why do I even consider any any rap anything but category one, because there a lot. I hear this a lot. Critics or people that don't listen to rap are like, it's just talking. It's just talking. Well, no, it's not, because we'll get to that in a second. But there are songs where it's just talking, and then you could tell that rappers have kind of a like if you've heard these rappers talk in interviews, they don't talk the way they rap. They're going for something that's musically valuable to that genre, which is their cadence, their inflection. It's all very intentional, and they do it masterfully, which is like naturally to them. But nevertheless, it's an intentional, significant thing. And I'd say Pretty Fly for a White Guy, I wrote in category two, and then I moved it to category three, along with Self Esteem by The Offspring. I'll let you decide. But a lot of Future songs, a lot of Drake songs, I'm not going to play them. You know which ones I'm talking about. You know, there's Future songs where he's got melodies, and then there's Future songs where he's kind of talking, but not the way he talks in like interviews, you know? So anyway, this is a gray area. But a song from the 90s by Faith, or not the 90s, I don't know when it came out, but Faith No More has this song called Epic, which a lot of this like hardcore, like before nu metal came out, Pantera has a couple songs like this. I think Candlemass. There was a lot of dudes kind of yelling, and it reminds me of like a rock and roll version of like Public Enemy, or I don't know, call me crazy, but listen to it. So Faith No More, Epic, just goes right into it. The whole Faith No More fans will not allow me to call this rap. I don't blame them. It's not rap, but anyway, it's not. He's not singing. Okay, another good song. I could play that all day. So, moving on to category one, which I wrote a lot of rap. Devil Went Down to Georgia. That's probably the best example. Also, Beck and the Butthole Surfers. Let me play The Devil Went Down to Georgia. This is an example of a song. This is why I say rap doesn't belong in category one, because you've got this, and this song is definitely music. Goes right into it. Hang on. Kick-ass violin first.
Went down to Georgia. He was looking for a soul to steal. He was in a bind because he was way behind. He was willing to make a deal. When he came across this young man sawing on a fiddle and playing it hot, and the devil jumped up on a hickory stump and said, "Boy, let me tell you what."
Okay, so, yeah, that guy, he probably talks similarly to that in his interviews. And if he doesn't, maybe if you're from the South and you know people that went into making that song, and you'd be like, no, he doesn't talk like that, you're an idiot. Yeah, I don't know, you tell me. To me, it sounds like there's a whole genre of music that is just people talking. If that's a bad example, I know Beck, that song Loser, is definitely a good example. I didn't save it in my playlist. I'm going to play it right now. So, while I'm letting this load, I'm about to get into what all this has to do with what I opened with, which is my theory that genre labels don't refer to even the sound of the music. But here, let me play this song first. Helps to put it in context. I know you've heard that song. You knew what I was going for, but that guy's talking, right? Moby does this a lot, I'm pretty sure. Butthole Surfers, I already said. So, you've got rap that I would put in a certain category, in a certain spot that you wouldn't expect, but I'm sure after you think about it the way I'm thinking about it, you would agree with me. And I'm not saying that this is groundbreaking. I'm just saying this is, when you look at it this way, there are correlations that can be made about genre labels, because you've got rap in one category that you wouldn't expect, you've got rock and roll in one category, and then you've got it's all messed up when you really break it down as far as music theory. So my theory is that genre labels don't even refer to the music or the sound of the music, and they just refer to the culture behind. And the culture is defined by where that stuff is being sold, what kind of commercials, and what kind of tours they're on, and not by the listeners, because the listeners identify themselves by their music and not vice versa. You know, I'm sorry if you disagree, but I really feel like there are a lot of people that listen to music that are not just casually doing the dishes, listening to music. They pick out their music and then they go to shows that match that genre in hopes to find more music like that and more people that like that music. This obviously is what goes on, right? I mean, I don't have to explain that. So it stands to reason that some people let the music define them, or maybe that's not true, but it definitely is a case where sometimes the music and not even the sound of it, but all this other zeitgeist surrounding it can determine a genre label, which is why you've got like these weird rock bands playing at Gathering of the Juggalos, and which is why you've got certain like philosophy rappers at Bonnaroo, like pretty sure Childish Gambino started off at like festivals and stuff. I'm talking like 2008. Anyway, back me up on this if you got info on it. Um, pretty much pretty much sums it up. I'd love to hear more from you. I know it was long-winded. Thank you so much for watching. Um, it seems like I think too much. Maybe that may be true, but I just kind of threw this together. I was multitasking, doing some stuff earlier, and kind of threw it together. So feel free to share this, and feel free to let me know what you think. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me, or share it with somebody who knows music theory. See if they think it's interesting, and I'd love to hear that from an expert. Oh yeah, this is a thing, and here's what you got right, here's what you got wrong, as far as people that are trained in this. All right, thanks, bye.